out of control most of the meetings also.
We're at
Really?
the end of the meeting.
Yep.
I can't complain. I didn't say anything when the other guys were at the end of the meeting. Can't say.
They don't stretch it out, it's not long, but they, it's. I remember.
My computer's in your box. Oh, I'll go get it later.
It's addressed with the little cutouts of the letters and stuff like that to get your attention.
All right, according to the geosynchronous satellite above us, it is 2 o'clock. We'll call this meeting of the Finance Committee to order. Additions to the agenda. I think there was an email communication.
Yes, sir. There's some items related to emergency management. It's kind of an annual maintenance regarding the emergency planning grant, the fiduciary agreement, and tree funding. We'd like to add those, and I would just note as well that I did hand out a one-sheet report on some current issues.
When do we put those under 3A right after the drain commissioners and a resolution? That's acceptable. Are there any other additions or comments? Take a motion.
I move the agenda with those additions.
Support.
Motion by Washburn, support by Mitchell to approve the agenda as amended. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Limited public comments. Does there appear to be anything? No?
Nothing right now.
Public comments? Moving on, Drain Commissioner. Commissioner Hansis. Cutler Road, my favorite road right now.
Cutler Drain.
Doing a drain project that was commissioned a couple of years ago called the Cutler Extension Drain over near Howell Road and Forest Hill Road. Took bids on that a couple of weeks ago. Got very favorable bids. Construction is getting ready to get started, provided we get financing on the project, which I think we will. Had a day of review of apportionment last Friday where landowners could come in and contest their apportionments or assessments. It shows that I believe 7 people came in. None of them indicated really or gave any indication to me that they would be appealing their assessments. So I think my assessment roll will stand, but I've got to go through a 10-day appeal period for that process. As I wrote in the resolution, or was written in the resolution, an amount not to exceed $315,000, and it was, the resolution is titled Cutler and Extension Drain Bonds Series 2015. That is going to have to be changed somewhat, and I'll explain why. Last night, I had previously asked the Watertown Township Board to consider prepaying their assessment, and last night I understand they did take action and have agreed to prepay their assessment, which ultimately means instead of borrowing $315,000, we'd be looking more at $260,000, which falls below the threshold for calling them bonds. And I just got off the phone with our finance counsel. She would prefer to rewrite the resolution. She said I would have that later on today, and instead of calling them bonds, call them notes. But it would also necessitate some other minor changes to the language that refer to certain areas of the drain code. So I would ask, I guess, not necessarily, well, I would ask that you maybe not approve this resolution as written, because there will be some changes forthcoming today, and maybe reconsider it at your full board meeting, if that might be possible on Tuesday.
So you would like them to endorse a resolution yet to be delivered endorsing their pledge of support for the project.
Right, essentially, they're called bonds at this point in this resolution, but because of the borrowing is falling under $300,000 now, they would be called notes, which would necessitate some minor changes to the language in the resolution.
So a recommendation to the full board pending the required changes.
Right, yeah. I mean, I guess I don't feel comfortable asking you to approve a resolution that you haven't seen.
I mean, that's, the other question I had is, and I don't know, maybe I missed it, how many years this thing is?
We're looking at 12 years. It's not, I guess, not written in the resolution.
Yeah, that's what I was,
Bill, the only
oh
question,
yeah, there it is.
Are you done, Dave? Okay, yeah.
the only question I had was, what kind of interest do you really think you're looking at? Do you think they're connected?
I don't know. I've been in touch with a couple of lenders, mainly to find out whether they would finance something over 12 years, because it is a fairly long term for drain note borrowing with today's climate. She says, I got 2 positive responses that they would bid on the project, or bid on the financing, but the interest rates would be likely higher just because of the longer term, and I fully expected that. The longer term you go, the more risk that they take in the economy.
Sure. They may stay in the game. You could have put 5 years ago, put money in at 3%, which you could.
So, I mean, it says not to exceed 6%, I believe, in this, and I would expect in the neighborhood of 4 to 5, somewhere like that. I think the Clark Lake bonds that we sold a year ago, I think that ended up at 3 something.
Is it
And that was
a little
12 years as well.
Yeah, that was a little lower than you thought, so.
Well, I guess I would move for, I guess, recommending approval subject to the required changes that to the full board.
I'll support it.
Okay, we have a motion by Poll to recommend approval based on changes that will be pending before our full board meeting next month. Support by Washburn. Any other discussion on this item? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I will pass that along. If you want me to send it to you, Ryan,
Yes.
and have you distribute it to the
Me and
board?
Penny, please. We'll forward it to Dan.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks, Bill.
Based on our amended agenda, we'll move on to the items regarding the Homeland Security Grant Building.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Afternoon.
Well, for Commissioner Hill and Commissioner Mitchell, who probably have not dealt with this issue before, this is our annual renewal of the Homeland Security grants that come every year. This year is the fiscal year 2014 grant. It is a pass-through grant from the federal government, from FEMA, through the states, and then through the region, which we call Region 1. It is a 9-county region here in the center of the state that goes from Gratiot County all the way down to the state line. And we meet as a regional planning board to allocate funds from that pass-through grant. And, sorry.
Such a wide word.
Emergency management never sleeps.
I mean, it's kids.
Probably. We meet as a region to allocate the money that comes through those grants, and a certain percentage of those funds goes to each county. This year the total for 2014 is $35,877. The spending requirements of that grant are very tight these days. Half of that money has to go to a project called Law Enforcement Terrorism Prevention. The other half goes to a project called State Homeland Security Program. And what we're asking for today is to pre-fund that annual grant. It's a reimbursement grant. And this is what we do about this time every year, is that we pre-fund this Homeland Security grant. Differences this year from any other year is that in the past, the fiduciary agent for that grant has been the City of Lansing, has been since 2004, I believe. Hingham County is now taking over that. The city has dropped that role, so Hingham County is a new fiduciary. So we are in the process of getting up to speed on their procedures and so on and so forth. So, but again, basically the same thing. We're just asking you to pre-fund the annual grant money, and then also approve the fiduciary agreement between the county and Hingham County, and also the agreement that allows for a regional planner, Rob Wooten, and that's another agreement that we have between Clinton County and Hingham County.
Can you tell me a little bit, what is the, on item C, what would be the examples of the large incident management support equipment?
Some of those are the equipment that we're using to support large response, like, for example, missing person search or something like that, where we have a lot of responders out there. We're looking at adding some sheltering equipment, a quick-up shelter that deploys in like 10 minutes, so that when we roll up onto a scene with the command post and the rescue truck, the command staff will go into the trailer, we'll be warm and dry and happy, but then all of the ground pounders will be standing around in the parking lot getting rained on. It's a little, especially in the wintertime, it gets a little bit hard to keep everybody together. So that's one item. Some lighting that we're looking at as well, some quick-up portable lighting that we can use to illuminate our work area. And then also, we're also looking into some enhancements to our command post for display work and things.
Yeah, a few weeks ago when Sheriff Kangas was delivering his annual report, I complimented him on a lot of the common sense purchases that were made through a lot of this military surplus. It was all real common sense stuff like tents and water bottles, and, things for search and rescue, not getting us involved in any of these large MRAPs that some of these other counties and cities are buying. So it was a nice common sense use to augment the facilities. Ann, did you have a question?
I did actually. The change. You're saying that it was City of East Lansing, or I'm sorry, City of Lansing that had
Yes.
fiduciary duty, and I'm assuming that's from 2004 to 14? Because it says that this started in 2004.
Yes.
Okay. What's the reason for the change?
I think really it had a lot to do with the amount of management and administration money that came through that grant. The M&A money has always been, was about 3 to 5% of the annual grant. And as the grant funds dwindled, so did that M&A percentage, so they didn't feel it was fiscally responsible for them to continue on, because they have to pay another employee to do that job.
Okay.
And it came down to somebody's got to do it, or the region doesn't get the grant money. So Hingham stepped up.
Okay. And then this 35,877, that's the entire amount, or that's our portion?
That's our portion.
What's the entire amount?
For this year, our portion is allocated based on population. It's a percentage based on our population. And I think I can't tell you the exact amount. I can look, I can get that information for you.
Okay.
But I think it's in the neighborhood of,
Like 1.2.
yeah, I think it's about 1.2 million over the entire region.
It's considerably less than it used to be.
Yes.
It used to be pretty robust.
Yeah. For a long time, our allocation was right around $100,000 every year. So it's considerably less now. So what, our focus is on maintaining capabilities instead of trying to build new ones. We're trying to keep, the expression is the fire truck isn't getting any redder. We're just trying to maintain what we have and the abilities that we have, keeping our technology up, updating computers, replacing equipment that wears out, certain things that go out of date, we have to replace. That's really the focus of what we try to do with this money.
So if the grant is 1.2 million, I'm assuming the matching, ballpark, I'm assuming the matchings are portion, no matching?
There's no matching on these.
Really?
Any other questions? Okay, we have 3 items for us to require 3 separate motions. First one is to approve the fiduciary agreement between Ingham County and Clinton County for the 2014 grant.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mitchell, support by DeLong. Any other questions on this one? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The second part is to approve the regional planner agreement between Ingham County and Clinton County. Let's make that motion. Motion by Hill, support by Mitchell. Any other discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The last is the pre-funding for Clinton County's allocation of the 2014 Homeland Security Grant Program funds. Motion by Mitchell, support by DeLong. Any further discussion on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And for once, we actually didn't have a question about why is it the fiscal 14 program? They're always backed up. So
They usually do about 2 years.
yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Next agenda item is waste management.
Hey,
Kate?
brought a tree with me.
That's okay, they're renewable.
Right.
Recycling.
Oh, goodness. All right, so first up is our Granger contract extension for our 2 rural recycling sites, which are located in Fowler and Maple Rapids. It's written in their contract that they're allowed to ask for a 1-year extension twice, and this would be the first of 2 1-year extensions.
I know we used to have 4 not that long ago, and now we have 2. Obviously, we can't shove recycling down someone's throat if they don't want it. Are there any other conversations or any explorations about trying to augment those locations?
Jim Mike's in it?
Gurgling in the kitchen. So I'm available and on our municipality's radar regularly, sending out emails and information. I can say that the Village of Westphalia has decided to do their own version of a drop-off site. It's a once-a-month collection that mirrors what the Village of Elsie does. They're working collaboratively with Westphalia Township without any county support. They decided that they wanted to go that route. They couldn't find a 24/7 site like they had at the school. Nobody wanted to manage it, so they're doing it once a month. It's the first Saturday of every month collection. They just did it the first weekend of May and had a pretty good turnout without doing much publicity on it, so we're working to promote that as well. Eagle Township, I still talk to Patty Jo Schaefer pretty regularly, but they haven't pinned down a site. They know that, our funding and backing is available. They just cannot find a site to put a drop-off center, so.
Possibility there is that they might observe what happens in Westphalia and
Yeah, they might
attempt
decide
a
it's
project like
something
that,
they can do.
because if that's successful, works out well. It's an option at least.
Right. Right. My department did support Westphalia, and we provided them with the ramps that they would need, the stairs and ramps, so that their residents had access to the roll-off container when it comes in. Because we have 4 sitting on site that were being abused, so we took 2 of them. And then we paid for signage to go up at that site, so that residents can see right when they pull up what's acceptable and what's not.
Well, the governor's push on increasing recycling, when's that discussion going to start, and is that offer any entry-level points for us to ramp up our,
If it comes
services?
with funding, yeah.
When's he actually starting that conversation or having those meetings?
It's been going on. He has a work group that's been meeting for a year now. They are focused on coming to some kind of an agreement on, they want to get a baseline of where we're at as a state to start, like what our actual recycling rate is. They want a measurement study done, so that's where they're at right now to see like where we need to go. So I think that's where the talks are right now. I'm not at work groups. I only hear it through like the Michigan Recycling Coalition when they do updates. But the conversations are there. There's interest. It's just a matter of how we get the infrastructure and the funding to do it. So.
Well, the other thing is the communities, both of those, would you say the constituent interest is there, but it's really, in both of those cases, the location and managing that location. That's been,
I just know in the Greenville plan, we've been stung a little bit with saying that, we should be doing more to improve recycling efforts, and, it seems like on the surface, they've been kind of rolling back, but that's not from our fault, and it's not from the residents' fault, it's just a matter of the
it's not from
infrastructure.
Ranger's fault.
Right.
No.
Right, and there's more, on the flip side of that, there's been more availability of curbside recycling. Granger's making, and other haulers are making the shift to do single stream collection instead of either dual stream or the little bin. They're going to the cart system, and that's getting more and more residents to recycle, and that's becoming more available. As more people sign on, they will move out into more markets on it. So that's happening too. So, I mean, there's a flip side to the drop-offs. I mean, we're always going to need drop-off sites because the way our population is set, it's not always going to be economically viable to offer curbside recycling to every township in our county. But
Yeah, it seems like they're kind of pulling in different directions. They want to offer curbside in all the rural areas. Well, think of the diesel and gasoline costs.
Right.
They're expensive to try to go out there to grab that recycled material.
Right, and the recycling markets have all tanked because we have cheap gas right now, so commodity markets are until the gas prices go back up. So that's another thing that changes month to month as well.
Chinese demand softening. So
The green wall, yes.
What'd you call it?
The green wall, yeah, that's what it's been named.
That's it, that's good. All right, so we have the proposed contract for the next year. Any other discussion on this item?
Move for approval.
Support.
Motion by Pohl, support by Washburn to approve the one-year extension for the 2 rural recycling sites in the Village of Fowler and Village of Maple Rapids. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And on to the Solid Waste Management Planning Committee.
Yes, so we're at the part of the process where our committee has agreed on the wording for the amendment. We have a draft plan amendment before you now for review and discussion and a vote. I have, hot off the presses, copies of the minutes, the draft minutes from that meeting, if anyone wants to see them. That includes the resolution to approve the plan, the draft plan amendment for the commissioner's review.
Yeah, that's right as well.
Yes, copy of the resolution is in the packet.
So where are we at overall in the process?
So we're at the point where it's being presented to the commissioners for the commissioners' review and vote, either yay or nay.
Us commissioners or the Solid Waste Planning Committee?
No, you,
Us
commissioners,
commissioners,
yes. Great. So that's where we're at.
I was just going to say, and this is to approve the resolution, which it comes here and then obviously to our board, yeah, to the full board.
So if we approve if we have the resolution in hand, we approve it, will be this month in May, and at that point, that would be the end of the process?
No.
That's what I'm asking, we're in the process.
Next phase is, I would send a copy of that resolution to all of our municipalities for their review and vote.
Okay.
And then, once I get all of their votes in, I send a huge packet to the DEQ for their final review.
Now, what role does the locals have in terms of their review and vote? You said it's the locals.
Yeah, all of our municipalities, it requires a 2/3 majority in order to pass.
Okay. This is interesting, because this is a very unusual process. You usually don't get our local municipalities with an approval or veto of a county plan.
Right.
So remember dealing with that.
Now, how much
Township perspective.
How much time do they have to review this?
I would have to double check. I don't think there's a limit on it, honestly. I'll have to double check it though. I know there was a certain time frame that from our public hearing to the commissioners, we had 30 days to get it before the commissioners for a vote. And then after that, I don't know if there's a set time frame for the locals to review it and vote on it. I'm going to double check though.
Okay, because I know as we enter the summer months, and maybe, trying to
Right.
get quorum, I wouldn't
Yeah.
want them to try to take it on the matter if they didn't have a full board before that.
Right. It doesn't have,
The basic fundamental of this thing is, as I have it, does not change the cap that's in that original agreement.
Correct, so
For
the
the
cap
annual
remains the
cap,
same.
so that's still there. That's basically, it's been a shifting of the overall economy. Maybe our paperless society has created this problem or something, or call it a problem if you wish, but it takes a larger area to generate maybe the same amount of trash.
Well, it's also probably a less than robust construction growth in the emerging areas, since that fills up your landfill pretty quickly.
Yeah, one of the things that was stated during the research on this and the questions that came out is that it's primarily due to the manufacturing industry itself. There is so much recovery of what used to be called waste. Yeah, and now it goes back into the stream, they make other things of it. So that is the primary driver, according to what I heard from Tanya. And we find that individuals are not sending to the landfill as many refrigerators and appliances as they used to.
Kim, you have a question?
Okay, you sort of touched on this. That last sentence about the amendment requires a two-thirds majority to pass or fail of two-thirds of what?
The municipalities.
So every municipality gets a vote? So it's
Yes.
not based on proportional representation, so a tiny little,
just each.
would a village get a vote?
Yes.
So
All
a
of the
village and a
villages, All the
township?
townships, all the cities,
Cities.
including the city of East Lansing. They're part of this too.
Mr. Chairman?
May I address this to my fellow commissioner? Was there, I noticed within the body of the minutes that there was a number of people who were concerned about the smell. What was your thought on that? Was that?
Well, it's a two-phase part. When this whole process started over a year ago, there were some issues with the odor. And it has become apparent that Granger was unaware of it, to the extent they were aware of some. They were not aware of, to the extent, exactly how far it went across. There is actually something set up now so that people in the community can call Granger and are aware they can call Granger directly should we have an issue. But what Granger has done is to invest several $100,000 in drilling not only vertically but horizontally to try to extract as much methane as possible. And it's to their advantage to do that because they take that methane and convert it into energy and sell it to the Board of Water and Light, which helps the Board of Water and Light meet their renewable percentage. So all across the board, it's to everyone's advantage for the maximum amount of methane to be recaptured. The communities don't smell it. But they've done a significant improvement. This past winter was not anywhere close to what it had been for the previous 3, 4, 5 years. So there was a dramatic difference. There were a couple people at the hearing that did indicate that they did smell some things, and those folks were primarily to the west of the landfill, which is unusual. That's what, yeah, because mostly you find the wind going from west to east or from south to north. So maybe they're more sensitive, I don't know.
Or maybe a different aroma that they're getting from something
Could be.
else.
Right, could be a wastewater treatment plant, I don't know where that's in connection with the landfill, but.
Then another question for Kate. Kate, did you ever have any correspondence from Lansing Township? Did they ever get back to you ever?
Nope. They've been on my email list and I reached out to them.
Yes, you
And,
did.
no, not a few.
Thank you.
Do we still work out of their homes, the office holders? Kim?
And going back to this question that Bob had, and actually it goes to my question on the two-thirds thing, though. The people that show up about the odor, do they relate that to the adding 4 counties? Or is this, I mean, is that one whole issue for them, or is adding 4 counties really not an issue, it's just the odor?
I don't think the adding 4 counties is the issue.
Okay.
I think the issue is the odor. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it just seems to me that if there could be, it seems to me there could possibly be a problem if all the smaller municipalities start getting together and saying there's an odor problem relating it to the 4 counties in 2/3, and then what, you're dead in the water.
Yeah.
will we be able in the future be able to track how much waste is coming in from those counties?
Yeah, it's always tracked. The state, Granger has to comply with state guidelines on that, so.
I was just wondering if you got a truck coming, from, Hillsdale coming up through Jackson and stuff, if they were making sure they were tracking it individually.
If it ends up in in the county's landfill, yeah. It'll do it, so the annual report that everyone has access to through the state website, it shows how much trash goes to each landfill from each county. So, and vice versa. Like I can find out where Clinton County waste is going to.
Refresh my memory, the landfill is, how long, what is its life expectancy?
50 to 80 years at this point.
From now?
Yeah. And that's just the Wood Street landfill. The Green River landfill is going to have a longer life, I believe.
One in Watertown?
Yeah.
Even I'll be dead.
I think they say 100 years on that one is what she was saying.
Right, because right now they have limited business there.
Any other discussions on this?
I make the motion, we adopt the resolution as written, as submitted by the committee.
Motion by Hill, support by Pohl. If there's no further discussion on this matter, all in favor would say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Does anyone want a copy of the minutes from Thursday's meeting?
Thank you, I read your wonderful email, thank you.
Wonderful. Anyone else? These are online too on our department website. Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Item 5 on the agenda, capital improvement requests. Brian.
Well, this is coming part of the regular process here. The jail air conditioning units are certainly on the major capital improvement list, and we're looking for authorization to release those funds and allow us to move forward with the replacement of those units. We plan to utilize the services of capital consultants for this project, C2AE, excuse me. They have visited this site. It's pretty straightforward, but we're up on the raw roof protection, some of the alignment issues, electrical. It's not terribly complex, but the unit specification, energy efficiency, need to have some expertise in this area, and we're looking for that. But we're good to go, and would ask for the suggested action.
Move for approval.
Motion by Pohl, support by DeLong to approve the roofing projects, or the rooftop air conditioning units at the jail. Any other discussion on this side? All in favor would say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item.
The erosion basin. Tom Olson, the new Parks Director, wrote this memo, and I'll leave it to him to provide a quick update.
Good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good job.
There's an erosion control basin that was located to the north of Big Clinton Lake, related to the Clinton Lakes Park property, as you can see on the map, just west of the Moats County Park property there. It was in place when the property was acquired to collect sediment that would run off the hillside, running north to south. Last year, there was a topsoil and grass seeding project that took place to establish some erosion control of the area. The grass took very well, and there was a volunteer overseeding project taking place this spring that also took very well. And after review from the drain office, determined that the erosion control basin really serves no purpose anymore. And now it's more of a safety hazard than anything as we start to get some more park visitors to the new park. So we're requesting $12,000 in funding in order to get that filled in.
On your picture you sent out,
Yeah.
are you speaking of this area right in
It's
here?
No,
As you look at the
large pond.
if you look at the beach area in the northern.
Oh, that's
part.
a small little strip within the beach area.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
Strip,
okay.
yeah.
That's a weird spot.
Yeah, it's actually almost 600 feet long. The picture's kind of, it's hard to tell through there, but.
Yeah.
I asked them to get a snapshot to try to show where the vegetation we authorized last year took off, that's why it's get other perspectives, but gotta keep it brief.
Is that near the Larry Martin Goose Preserve?
No, there'll be sand on either side of this filled-in topsoil, is that?
Yeah, that's gonna eventually be the new beach area,
Right.
once they put some higher quality sand above it
So, I
right
mean,
now.
once we fill in this with regular topsoil, we're gonna...
No, we're gonna know.
It'll be sand.
Okay, that's what I was
Sand,
asking.
yeah.
It's gonna be filled with sand.
There'll still be a small lip on the southern part of the erosion, just in case there is any extra runoff. And the water level control that's already in place will remain in place between the two lakes there.
When do we plan to open that up for use?
So what now?
It's open now, even with this feature that's already in there, it's a small
Yeah.
basin, okay.
I mean, it gets, in the spring it's high, it needs to go though. I mean, the eventual, the 12, from the very end of that, the beach area there, yes, I put something in. But, you know, from where that starts, the clear down about halfway point, that 600 foot, that little slice there,
Okay.
that's the erosion basin. This all was planted, top seeded here last fall, you recall. And we monitored that this spring, as he's alluded to, John Morrison, Bill, and both soil erosion certified, etc. And there's minimal erosion occurring now, so this is a more stone, some sand, gravelly, the beach area now. But we would like to get that filled. It really isn't serving any useful purposes. But the actual 6-on-1 slope, underwater slope is there. So that will make a nice area. People walk into the water, 1, 2, just like it over in Mozart. It's the same gradient underneath. But eventually, and we did have some conversation, we estimated it's about $80,000 for a foot of sand over this 1,200 foot area. I don't remember how deep it is, like 80 feet maybe. It's fairly north to south from the water to the green. It's fairly deep. But it's 1,200 foot long, an entire area. It's about an $80,000 project to put a foot of sand on that. Similar quality sand that we have over at Mo's. At this juncture, however, we're just asking you to get rid of that erosion piece.
What's in the water right now is your slope, yeah.
Sand.
So it's sand up to the water's edge, but
Yeah.
not in the, that's what we call a future beach area, so it's just dirt.
That was insistence that our interest in the lake would be diminished significantly if that underwater gradient
No, I
over there.
Right.
Across the road, remember, we dewatered that.
And you say it's,
We were dewatering.
you say it's available now to use, but it's just a patch of dirt, so it's not likely to get used excessively this year.
It's more sand than anything, it's just low quality sand.
Okay, it's low quality sand.
Yeah.
Is this the first full year to be ready to go?
It was open in the spring of last year, and now people are starting to know that it's there, and I'm expecting a lot more use than I got last
It
year.
doesn't have a substantial parking area.
No, it's got like the gravel lot that's there right now.
On the road.
Yeah, but then you have to walk all the way over to it.
People have gotten all around the trail system that goes around there for fishing, so.
They can do some enhancement or several projects there.
What do we, if we're talking, yeah, what kind of capacity do we expect this year?
And that, between the two parks, we're expecting between 80,000 and 100,000 for the year.
But how much it actually would be using the water on the west side?
It gets quite a bit of use from boating and, like I said, fishing before.
So a lot of kayakers, that's a lot.
Yeah.
It's growing. This winter, that was, I mean,
For
every
more boating and kayaking than actually fishing and wading, or I mean, just swimming and wading?
Yes, as of right now.
Okay, so at this point, it's not really costing us a lot more in operational cost monitoring, like we do on the east side?
Not a whole
Because
lot.
most of your rangers are going to be on the east side.
Yeah, depending on what side the bid is, most likely to be the boat side.
I'll move for approval.
Support.
Okay, motion by Pohl, support by Washburn to approve the $12,000 in funds to fill in the erosion control basin. Any other discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Central dispatch, computer-aided dispatch, computer replacement. Wait, there's computer-aided replacement.
Well, yeah, computer aided dispatch, computer replacement.
Somehow that makes sense.
Unfortunately, it does. What it is our CAD workstations and server. Each workstation has the CPU that sits next to all of those are at end of life. And their servers right in there, the extract servers past that. So I'm asking if we can replace that.
Is there any secondary market use out of the existing?
I can ask Craig if he have one.
What normally happens to our computer equipment?
They're thoroughly wiped for security purposes and then they're recycled typically.
Okay, so they're generally too outdated to resell on the market then?
Yeah, there's not much of that.
And because of the federal, the law enforcement information, network information that's shared on there, all those hard drives have to be shredded.
And they're pretty particular about it.
Yeah.
All the computers.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that's stored on those.
Yeah.
So there's usually some artistic individual who can figure out how to pluck some of that out if you don't actually drain it.
Well, that's true in any office we have, the clerk's office, or social security, our office. It's just-
Entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion to approve the 76,000 for replacement of the computer-aided dispatch hardware and contract service with SunGuard Public Sector, outlined in the capital improvement section of the 2015 budget.
Support.
Motion by Mitchell, support by Hill. Any further discussion on this matter? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now you're asking for more money.
Since we have a thing recently, this is for the mapping. I approached you in September of last year about doing the point addressing, updating our maps to be more efficient, and we finally received all the responses. I did ask that Aaron Wyrick from our GIS department and Eric Carter, who does all the addressing for the county, to sit in and help me review these. We received, I think it was 5 in there. Of those, only one was really a viable option. Several, or I shouldn't say several, 2 of those were from out of state. When you're doing a physical drive, we would have had to pay, they would have charged us for bringing the people here, and that really shot the cost up over like $200,000 and $300,000. And so then there was one other one that was a little closer in price, but they didn't want to do the physical drive. And the request for proposal stated it had to be a physical drive. And so when we got done reviewing them, Amalgam was the only company that really could meet the responses that we had asked for. So
Where they located?
they're out of Mount Pleasant, so we don't have to pay living expenses, so we just drive down back and forth.
I move to approve the central dispatch contract with Amalgam LLC for 9/11 Next Generation Mapping for $85,000.
Support.
Motion by Washburn, support by Poole. Any other discussion on this item? Hear none, all in favor of the item, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Stick around, you might be needed. Building committee.
So close.
Okay. Historically, the county's used the building committee to take on any of the significant building projects that we've had. The 911 tower, that whole project, it's kind of on the bubble whether we would need that or not, but it is complex in many respects. So given that, and we've had a couple of setbacks of late, so I think it's in our best interest to get the committee activated. We need to have a meeting to make some decisions. I think it's something we pull together much quicker and keep the board apprised of where we're at as we move along. I'd be happy to answer any questions or go on, I guess, the debate about the committee itself, if that's the proper approach.
Yeah, right now we're talking about activating the building committee. We'll give you a snapshot of where you are. You've kind of heard a little bit through the grapevine about the tower, but obviously the tower's been in the works for many, many years. Back in 2010, we were identifying a site in the southeast, and we made the lease agreement with the Vales originally in 2012. Despite that, we still apparently waited till the last minute to get before the planning commission in May, and we were not as, I think we met the most bare minimum standards for public notice, but we probably should have been a little beyond that, considering that we did cancel planning commission meetings in March and April for lack of business. The person with the original site proposed, the person who was directly next to the property didn't receive their notice until the day after Victor Township took it up on their planning commission. It was delivered to a previous address, not actually at the residence, but another address that they were using was in another part of, I think, Ingham County where they previously lived. So at this point, the original planning commission discussed the original site plan as proposed, which was only 120 feet off the main center of the road, right off Cutler Road. It's a 300-foot tower that we're going to put our 9/11 communication equipment on. It was within, if the tower should fall, which it won't, they're designed to crumble, but if the tower should fall straight over, it was within the height of the tower was within the residence across the street. And it would have been pretty close to hitting the residence just to the east of that. So we are working right now to identify an alternate. At the Plan Commission, we heard testimony, we tabled it. We're working on identifying an alternate location farther to the north. We still have to wait to get the preliminary approval from the FAA and the FCC. But what we've heard, the Harris Corporation says it will meet their technical standards for their equipment, for the connecting in with our main facilities in our southwest tower. So if we can get preliminary approval from those two entities, we can put it back before the Planning Commission, hopefully in either June or July. I don't know if we're going to be able to meet that regular June 11th meeting, or if we're going to have to have a special meeting between, or just wait until the July meeting. But hopefully if we can get approval from those other federal entities, we should be, I think at this point we're not going to make everybody happy, but we should be making everybody less angry with us by conforming to the commercial standards rather than using the public use standards, which allow us to bend the rules a little bit on where we can normally site these towers. So if we can get farther north, based on my guesstimates about where we might be able to locate this, my residence is actually going to be closer to a 400-foot tower south of my home than Mr. Shaheen, who has been very deliberate in his opposition to this, than his residence would be from the new site location. His residence currently at least 1,000 foot back from Cutler Road. This new tower, the tower where I'm living at, is roughly 2,000 feet away from my house, so he'll be well. He should be well outside of those ranges where I am right now. We do have to put it in this immediate vicinity, and that's going to cause a little bit of angst because this is a pretty rural area. It's a dirt road out there in Cutler Road. It's very little traffic. It's a dead-end street, so you only get the dozen or so homeowners who are on that road east of Upton traveling down that area. And right now they just have farmland to the north or some 10 or larger acre plots that they're dealing with.
If there's some relocation thing, is this going to affect the FAA?
We're hoping not. We're hoping to get that preliminary nod, not speaking out of turn, but Ryan can probably address that better.
Yes. I spoke with him, I was looking to read my phone before the meeting started. I have a response here. It says, this is from our regulatory consultant. Underpaid equipment, if you don't mind. I'm confident the new proposed site, the one directly north of about 800 feet, will meet with engineering requirements, which include the Genesee issue and the amount of signal going outside of the county. It should be fine for simulcast at the Harris proposal. Harris should be the source for the final piece. And with current communication, we're pretty close with that. FAA looks good. The verbal okay from the Michigan Aeronautics Office. We don't get finals. We need to proceed, but they do a survey. The wetland area being closer might well trigger a need for a formal environmental assessment. We have a proposal to get that done for $1,000. We also need a new historic and cultural shovel survey, which is triggered by the FCC for any artifacts and things. That's had to be redone. The FCC will be fine so long as the cultural stuff is clear. So in a nutshell, then I haven't had the map done yet. I'm going to probably show you where I'm going to be going. Would you like to do that quick? Yeah, that'd be good.
Well, I guess otherwise, all we're basically looking at doing here is establishing a committee.
The committee, yeah.
I'm not sure of the details at this point. What kind of a timeline is more money, how long?
Our original timeline was have this up and constructed by November, and then have and by spring, Harris would finish off with the components. So based on the review, we're probably not going to hit those kind of windows, but since it was going to have to be till next spring that Harris was going to be installing their equipment, we probably will still be able to get online next spring summer.
Anyways, this is Upton Road here, north-south road. This is the Vale residence here. This is Cutler Road. This is the Bath Victor line. So the rail, there's an underground utility here, a gas line. There's one that runs here. This is some question about the right-of-way. Claude has bought that. Our attorney's saying that really isn't probably where we want to make that type of public investment on something that was a railroad.
And there's a natural gas pipeline running along the south end of that right-of-way. Originally, you see that wedge-shaped parcel, we wanted to try to see if we could alter it and tuck it all the way back in the corner, but that would have put us into that natural gas pipeline.
So the Vale's offered, I think this is about 160 acre piece, if I'm not mistaken. The Vale's offered for us to put the, roughly here. They own both of these pieces, so this is the parcel one, but he owns both of these. Here's the home that was within the range. This home here was owned by Mr. Vale. We sold that just a year ago to these folks that moved in. We've had the lease since 12, so just a point of information. There's a bit of a wetland here, but roughly in this area here, we just move it up and here, kind of between the road and the rail grade. We'd be 300 feet off this back line of this home here. In, consideration here is he's looking to preserve farmland, obviously. He rents this property. The land does have value. Would like to have these fence wall eradicated. I think that might be part of the deal we get. In fact, we get one with him for property. All this area will need to be resurveyed. We're going to need to get that done. New FAA, new cultural survey, all those types of things. For probably soil borings, we're in the range of $20,000 just to redo. Probably 3 months delay.
And it will add cost, because we're going to have to run, it's going to be farther back to the road, run utilities.
Run the power and so any of that, I guess, that's where we're at. But it's, one of the things we want to be certain, this would be what we'd require anybody else to meet as a minimum, setbacks or property lines, etc. This would be your commercial cell carrier. You would be within the standards the county has. We do need to be in this general area.
In fact, I think it should be more. I think more. I don't think it's quite exactly 300 feet off that property edge. I think there's more generous buffer there.
We need to be in
It'll
a zone.
be beyond the very minimums, yeah.
When we say that this is where it has to go, this is the place that somebody volunteered to work with us to play.
Right.
Not to say they couldn't. Airstrips are an issue for us, the conflicts with the FCC, with the power coming in from Genesee, all types of issues of that sort. We have a voluntary property owner. Otherwise, we find ourselves in a condemnation place. There's nothing easy. But it's easy for someone to say, well, just move it. That becomes someone else. Nonetheless, thank you for the moment. Good.
I would, keeping in mind all of the changes that are probably going to need to take place, and some of them on a rather quick notice, I would move to activate the building committee composed of Commissioner Cole, Stacy, and Showers.
Support.
Any other discussion?
I just had, when did we hope to have this tower completed and operational by?
Originally?
Well, the hope was to have it done by November, and then Heroes could commence work.
November this year?
Early next year.
Yeah, this year.
It's supposed to be done by March, next March, that's what they said.
Even with the delay in the construction, we probably should still be able to get activated by next summer, shouldn't we?
We should, yeah. We're going to tighten up the timeline and stuff. We just had some more, we're getting information every day.
It was supposed to go online in 2016. We should still be able to go online in 2016.
Right.
I guess, it's because this is a thing that's needed. This isn't just, hey, let's put up a tower.
Right.
There's a real emergency crisis we've got here that we're trying to eliminate, so.
Does that seem to come into the conversation at all when people, I understand people not wanting something right next door, but does it ever come up that benefit in the conversation?
The people in the area have said that they admit that we need a 9/11 tower right there, even the people in the back township. And part of the problem with this is right on the intersection of the township. So literally, it's in Victor Township, but most of the residents impacted are on the other side of that township. But they all admit that they need this 9/11 tower up there. But not being involved in the day-to-day operations and planning on it, like I said, if you want to pick a spot in the map and put it down, well, you can't just put it in the very back of someone's farm field eating up all that acreage. They're not going to be willing to put it there. It's also going to add a lot of cost to your project in excess where you want it. But I think everybody's in agreement that the original location we have is not the optimum site, and we recognize that. We're willing to work with that. And as far as it coming back before the planning commission, are the homeowners who are impacted, would they be notified that it would be brought up again?
I think the intention is to give them a courtesy call to let them know. I believe we've met that. Yeah, I want to just remind everyone, no, the townships aren't a part of the process. They're there they have input, but it's voluntary. It doesn't have any legal standing. So it's one thing to be there and be making a decision when the room's full. But when you look at the legal consequences, it's something else. And I mean, we went through that here with the wind energy stuff. I think probably anybody would have allowed about wind towers, but they got those requirements of the law, and you're going to be holding the bag, so you do what you need to do. And people have a right, Mr. Vail has a right to use this property.
Bath Township actually recognized that. They were going to discuss the matter, and when I told them that we were looking at an alternate site, they held their tongue, and even one of the members said, quite frankly, this is a county project. We can offer input and suggestions, but we don't have any authority on this.
It's easy when you're not.
Adam, Ryan's exactly right, because we had the boundary issue come up on this. It was off a few feet. There's different times we've visited this, I've never seen anyone here opposing it.
Okay.
Has there ever been, maybe at planning,
Just
but not at a board meeting or even back in 2012, was there anyone opposed to Mr. Vail?
Like I said,
At a board meeting here.
I hold myself accountable. I knew the large 10,000 foot part of the project, but until I actually saw the site plan where it was located and how close it was to the road, that was when I realized that, that's not the greatest location in the world. I knew it was on this parcel of property, and it was going to be in Cutler Road. Until you actually see the blueprints on there, that was when, and that's the unfortunate thing, we didn't get the blueprints until really quickly before the May Planning Commission. We should have brought this up well earlier into the spring and let people soak this in, and they offered suggestions to us, and we're acting on those suggestions, and we wouldn't have been delaying it if we acted on it a little bit sooner in the year.
All right, you're right about that. I don't disagree.
We have to be willing to say that we made some mistakes without, we're big enough to say, hey, we didn't do this the best way we could. But we have been fully transparent in the process. We just weren't giving people enough, the people directly impacted, enough heads up. We were actually getting ready to put shovels in the ground.
But people were notified along the way of whatever was taking place.
Well, you're not really notified until you actually get a planning commission site plan about what's going to go up. You may vaguely know if you're dialing into a county board about what's happening.
But to the extent the 911 board's been apprised of this, the policy board, this thing's going on, the law police chief, the fire chiefs, they know this stuff's going.
I could have greased this better.
I don't want to.
My constituents.
It hasn't been a secret we'll get you.
I'm just saying that there's been ample opportunity for people to see this at the county level. This is not something that happened a couple months ago. This has been going on for years.
Murray Howe is the exception to the norm. You don't get that active a person paying attention to county politics. We elect people like ourselves to deal with this, and we don't have to bring in a 24/7 basis.
We'll get through it. Just don't know controversy.
Bob?
I think there's two points that we need to remember. First one is the need for the tower is substantial, has been substantiated for years. Its construction, the way it's going to be constructed, and what it will do is not benevolent. it has huge value. There was serious scientific study conducted to make sure it was placed in the right spot to maintain the maximum coverage. The communications about the tower, where we might find ourselves a little bit behind the eight ball because we're actually dealing with two different townships. Typically, in a project like this, someone on the planning commission, it's not really your responsibility to write letters to somebody. So I would suggest that the residents who reside at Bath Township side would probably feel as if they weren't communicated with very effectively, and the answer is yes, but it wasn't benevolent.
It was a jurisdictional
It's a jurisdictional thing, but it doesn't negate the fact, regardless of what the residents say there, it doesn't negate the fact that the Planning Commission has done due diligence, followed all requirements the statute says that there are. There's nothing you can do to make sure that it meets the appropriate standards for that we have to comply with. So the fact that you've chosen to move it back away from there says, okay, there is some flexibility in our plan. We're trying to accommodate you as well as we can, but when in the final analysis, if someone says, well, we're going to sue you, go ahead, you're going to lose. Because we've done all we can do to comply with the statute, and it's not like we're trying to hurt somebody, but we have to protect the entire county. And if you take objection to this, you can do what you got to do, but we won't prevail, I believe, because you have done everything you're supposed to do.
It's a public safety issue. God forbid we don't want something happening in the school down there and not being able to reach the handheld radios of the first responders. Christine, do you have any other comments as you're diligently sitting here listening to us?
No, you did a nice job.
So what's your best guess? Do you think it's going to be probably more in the June, July-ish range?
I'm on the calendar, I'm asking for a building committee meeting next Wednesday.
What more
We're
details
dealing
about
with
that?
the short this out, maybe pull the trigger on these soil borings, these other sundry items that need to get rolling to kickstart this thing. And there's a lot of work to get done, yeah. But that'll happen. Towers are always extremely difficult. Our turn to use the cycles or plan or keep trust and use the It's not great friendly.
Until we can get cloaking technology and just make them invisible. Did we have a motion to activate this?
Yes.
Did we actually vote on it?
No.
Okay, sorry about that. Penny, you still have that recorded? Is the motion by, do you
I
have
have
it?
it, yep, I have it,
Okay.
and we support it.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Okay.
You see a little white car in front of your house playing on a computer, it's just the address.
Don't send the drone loaded with
Oh, yeah.
dynamite over there.
I was joking with Ryan earlier about adjusting some of the timetables and some of the discussion items, and we are right on track where I thought we were.
There you go.
I said we need a little more time on that one, so.
Let's keep going, yeah.
Capital improvement project schedule, administration.
All right. These are right out of the booklet that we reviewed. It's in the budget, currently where we're at. We've had a lot of discussion. I have people in my ear, well, we should think about doing this. And that's all good stuff. I'm not complaining about it, you guys, but I think at this juncture, it's important for us to have a conversation of things. And it doesn't have to get all done today, but this really does become a planning document, a budget document, and then many ways a work plan for the following year. As you've seen today, there's the 2 911 projects, the big power project, the air conditioning units out the jail, those are all there. Tech hall roof, that was on there. And that keeps, this really helps keep staff busy in my office, projects that we need to carry out, so. The planning, budgeting, work plan, and we really, for us to operate as well as we should, as efficiently as we should, we need to just clear the air annually on the projects that we have rolling around, focus, have some consensus amongst the board as to what the priority should be, and then do our best to find the funding to get them done. I mean, that's how, I mean, it's pretty basic, but that's the process we've been using
Oh,
for a
planning.
number of years, and I guess maybe we just become too casual with it, but I just want to have some good brainstorming. You know, once we get this together, we'll reassemble it, bring it back, and have some discussion about priorities, but, you know, funding is always going to be an issue. The first page is the equipment replacement. I guess in my mind, this was, we talked about this, and I don't want to bore you, but all the major pieces of equipment, properties, et cetera, have lifespans. We have those marked. Those are depreciated. We know what the original cost was. Those are indexed a little bit for inflation. And they become placeholders for us to maintain cash in the public improvement fund, just like the air conditioning units. We're going to put a roof on a jail next year and replace some more air conditioning units. Schools use sinking funds, go to out for villages to do those things. We don't have that. We're here. We're trying to work that out of our annual revenue to put that money aside to make that happen. So, not that some of these things can be delayed and kicked a little bit, but we really need to be mindful that this is putting the roof on the house stuff. I'm going to skip over a page. Much of this is true with the MIS fund to a certain degree, not all of it, but, you know, Phil was in here earlier this year, he wanted the asset management plan, but there's a fair amount of inventory, software and such that we just need to be replacing, and it's a bit like the equipment replacement, but we have that in a segregated fund for prioritization, just to help provide some semblance of balance to the process. Then, of course, the vehicle funds. I mean, that's, again, pretty much equipment replacement, but we just have a different name for that, how we're going to deal with that. The magic page, then, of course, is, we're going to try to reformat this a little bit to maybe segregate those. But additional projects, we have passive recreation development. We need to have a discussion, but I think there's a lot of people have their thoughts about improvements at malls, or perhaps fixing the beach, or doing a more aggressive project over at Clinton Lakes. Building removal, we have this old facility across the back of the schoolhouse here that we bought for added parking. That's to get rid of those buildings. Health department expansion, they've been in our area, you know, the dental clinic's been very successful. They've talked about expanding that, we have a placeholder for that. Maintenance expansion, that's interesting. St. George was here a little bit ago and talking about emergency management, and they share part of that. Now the equipment they have, this is interesting. If you drive out there now, you'll see some of their bigger rigs sitting around outside. Some of that equipment that was purchased from emergency management money, we don't have a place to put it. It was stored at the airport, now some of it's been brought back. Some of it used to be out here at the Clinton Fire facility. I think that's something we'll probably have to take a good look at. One of the other things we've talked about is, I'm going to shut up in just a moment here. I know I'm kind of running off the mouth. The 911 center, we have that backup dispatch center. If we was to have a problem with this building, a gas leak or some type of explosion, wherever 911 go, perhaps that would be incorporated into a disaster recovery plan in conjunction with the maintenance or some other location. Fairgrounds renovation, there's been talk about basic improvements to Smith Hall. Those numbers represent, in the back of the actual capital improvement plan itself, there's a number of projects. We're just spread over 5 years where an index added for inflation as well. So I guess the canvas is wide open now. One of the things we've talked about is realignment of the health departments. I plan to have a brief report, at least an initial report. I'm going standalone here today. With the distractions of 911 world, I wasn't able to get that done, but I did get it started. I thought it was going to have about 200 difficult things. It just didn't come.
I think we can let that one slide.
I guess maybe we can just throw out some, personnel was an issue, I know. Anybody have any thoughts? Let's just get them jotted down and we'll reassemble
I'd
it.
like Chairman Showers to lead off the discussion if he wants to.
Yeah, I don't know if this would fall within the fairgrounds renovation, but you and I toured Smith Hall last spring. And the there's always that issue, and Cam said it well, so did Dave, that you put some money into it to make it livable, workable, or do you tear it down and start all over again? I don't know, but I do know this, is that the ladies' toilets need to be redone. Those are like ancient, if I was a woman, I'd be very upset that there's not enough stalls in there. Kitchen seems to be workable. They still use it all the time? I think it's rented constantly, isn't it?
It's pretty busy, I mean,
Yeah.
if somebody could do some work.
Yeah, and then a couple windows on the east side, just to make it a little more airy. And I don't know what that would cost, but if we're going to use it, we have to do something with it. Floor is okay, structure seems to be okay according to what we were told. Kitchen is okay. I don't recall if there was any equipment that really was not up to par.
Yeah.
Ryan, are Chairman Shower's comments, are they already built into your?
Well, they're here, but you know, more specific.
I wonder, could you kind of touch on what is entailed in the equipment replacement at the fairgrounds, $2 million item, versus what's entailed in the fairgrounds renovation item for $3 million?
So we already did the air conditioning, so that was, it doesn't appear that that is specific to Smith Hall. Oh, exterior renovations is up here. Yeah, that was the age-old debate. We'll get them on, I guess we just like to get them on the list. We'll come back and have some more discussion about those.
But what Chairman Shower was talking about wasn't even involved in the renovation / equipment replacement? Okay.
No. I think that the other option was, as you recall, years ago, the county bought 20 acres from the city of St. John's and Emily West. You go out around that road, it allowed the access up to Townsend Road there. There's a detention basin on the far west end. There's a nice site there. I think it was contemplated, I don't think it was contemplated at that time, that Smith Hall would really become part of the 4-H operations. And a new facility would be built out there for more conferencing and open house type of thing, something a little more comfortable, I guess.
But the ag thing kind of
I think I cut Bob off where he could finish his
I need to be
thoughts.
clear, I'm not advocating to do it. I'm simply saying if you choose to continue to have Smith Hall exist, we need to make some changes. If Morris says, hey, we need a new facility, I wouldn't disagree with that. We have the land, that's a beautiful looking, in fact, that's frankly one of the beautiful pieces I've seen around here. And now you're talking about a couple $1 million, so there's a difference there.
Oh, yeah, right, absolutely.
I just want to make you aware of it, that it would be nice to say, to fix the facilities for the restrooms for both genders and the windows, what does it cost?
Right.
I mean, it's all talk right now, I don't know what it is.
Right.
That would be a minimal, that would take care of Smith Hall for some time to come in a minimal way.
Right.
Versus spending several $1 million for a new facility, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but just so we know. It's hard to make decisions about this kind of construction if you don't know what it is.
I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
It isn't much different than the Greenhaven the year prior to the feasibility, renovation feasibility. Again, maybe your architects look at that. You can grab a number, but be more realistic on what it would take to assess that, barrier-free issues, and other things that come up. That would be a step in the process. Well, we'll get that down. Maybe we can get a rough number. Maybe we'll suggest a feasibility study.
Sure.
Anything?
Yeah.
I get hammered more on this document than anything else. While it's talking about our capital improvements, because there's a misconception that because it's down here, we're automatically going to go ahead and do it. And, no matter how many times I have conversations with people and say, this is, we're saving and we might, and things, might change.
Right.
Maybe we might. Some people insist that if it is down here, that we are going to take and go ahead and do it. And you said you're going to take and do a little changing for formatting and everything like that, and it's like, no matter how much, you change, you add details and everything like that, some people are just insistent that we're wasting our money because they've got their own little thing that goes over here and it doesn't make it on our list. So, that's it.
I mean, if someone wants to suggest we eliminate, I'm open to that. That's how I was trained to do things. People talk to you, they have projects, they have ideas, if you want things taken off the list here, we can do that as well. I mean, I'm happy to do that.
You know, we've never funded everything in all those years, but I can see people
Well-
being a little bit squirrely if they see something out of it, they think, well, eventually, just because of the, attrition, it's going to get funded. Usually new things get replaced, like what, Bob was talking about. There's a new identified project that we should take a look at.
Well, the fairgrounds discussion's gone back since you and I
They've
came on
been
board.
yeah, we've been on for 15 years.
You had some long-range possibles out there, and you maybe get there only if all of the dominoes come down in the right order, but they're certainly very contingent out there.
If they, Ken, if those folks have a problem, I'll be happy to explain to them.
Oh, that'd be difficult. Then we don't want to do that.
I'd be happy to
They'd
explain
rather
to
just
them
complain.
that we don't actually fund everything.
Okay.
I was going to say, you could point to the committed funds for the project number, bottom of the
Zero.
page, which is zero.
Or look above it, their equipment replacement, you've got a total of 5.5 billion, committed funds 4.4.
Well, I see schools going for sinking funds, they don't have any money to fix any of their equipment, and we're going to fund. I guess as a quick response to that criticism, I guess, is that the county made a conscious decision many years ago to make improvements to the fairgrounds. Most were well received, generally speaking, there's always critics. In order to kind of bring order to that, it was best interest to establish some general key to the design of the buildings, colors, those types of things. What other facilities, the old pig barn was, wonder something you get hurt there, that was torn. So what's the succession here? How are we going to use this new property? How should these utilities be sized? What could be the potential demand? So we engage in a feasibility study here and have these things. So the criticism is, well, they put it on the shelf, everybody forgot about it, or you try to carry these things for some reference point as you move forward.
And we should look at the changing landscape, Smith Hall, we talk about Smith Hall, well, let's figure out how much is it being used in a year, how much growth is being, how much is Liquid Egg getting used in their facility.
The key to it is no different than, planning ahead for the possibilities of some things. I mean, you put in a sewer pipe, do you put in just a 6-inch to satisfy the little project you're doing today, or do you put in an 8-inch so that you can actually do a project on the other end of it? That's the logic of that. That's what this kind of thing is.
Well, and it eliminates people telling you, well, did you think about this, or how about that?
Right.
Well, it's here, it just hasn't been prioritized, it hasn't risen to the top. I mean, it's almost as much value when making a conscious decision not to do something, you don't have to revisit it each time it comes up. Anyways,
Yeah. It's a thought process.
we usually
that's
get that
all.
with road projects a lot, how you know.
This is a pretty nebulous discussion. We're looking for
Well, I have a
something
couple
little
of
more
others I could
specific.
throw out, the health department, I guess we'll have that, may want to consider putting that on the list. We've had discussions, all these putting that, pretty limited narrowly, easy for me to think. Many years ago, we did a personnel study, overtime jobs more, assignments change, things compress. Most places do this at the MAC, the legislative thing at Nuts and Bolts. There was a significant discussion about the need for many counties to do a personnel reclassification. Rewrite job duties, job descriptions, take a fair look at that, make certain people are where they're at with their relative worth to the operation. Last time we did that, it wasn't, I think it cost us almost $75,000 at the end to implement it.
How long ago was that, Ryan?
It's been 12 or more, I believe,
It was
anyways.
2002 or 3 when
Yeah.
we did that.
That Smith was still here. But I think, I would like to put that down. I get pressure annually from departments that, well, we need to look at this person, you need to look at this person.
And part of the budget savings we've been finding over the years is asking people to do more and
Right.
share responsibilities and cross-train.
Right,
Well, the technology changes have
right.
reoriented so many jobs that I suspect that might be a valid one to at least discuss.
One of the reasons we have anticipating zero debt by the end of next year is because we've done this.
Yes.
For those that say, well, you put this on your list, my response is, I don't care. We have taken care of business. Look at our bottom line. We're one of the few municipalities that all things work correctly will have no long-term debt. I'm happy to take the criticism because we're doing the right thing. Period.
The one part of it that, and I know we need to leave it in here, is that MIS fund projects, that's going to be just an ongoing thing.
Right.
That's almost a maintenance thing, really. Although, some of it could be new, but it still needs to be in here.
Right.
But that's just going to be there. And I agree 100% that things have changed since the last time your assessment of job descriptions has changed tremendously at this county. People are doing more, different things, maybe more things, and it needs to be done. The other thing is, we have absolutely fantastic employees at this county, and just in deference to them, we need to do it. At least once in a while, and this is really once in a while.
Our population's increased by 12,000 people in the last 10 years, it's going up.
Well, we probably should have done it prior to that. I mean, we made a conscious decision not to talk about a lot. It was 3 straight years of property.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, we started to level up a little bit. You don't want to go out and do a study and you find out you got many holes and you can't take care of them.
Right.
You kind of want to do the study when you think you can make
Make it right.
it right.
I can see, a bunch of pushback and resistance from some people talking about spending, you said like 75,000 to do a study?
No, it was 75,000 to implement the study.
Oh, okay.
Adjustment.
But anyway, regardless of what it is, I mean, sometimes you have to go ahead and take a look back, and yes, it's going to cost money, but we don't get to the position that we're at without taking and going back and having, resources dedicated to go ahead and take a look,
Right.
what we got going. So yes, it does cost us money to go ahead and do that, but I think the benefit from it will far outweigh, the cost that we put into it. I'm done.
Going back to Bob's comment on Smith Hall, I remember back when you guys were talking about when you got the property and maybe doing something where he brought in fact, I think he even had sort of a rendition of kind of what
Yeah,
could be
there,
done. I
I
saw
agree.
some pictorial
Plan.
thing. It
There
was
was a
nice.
plan, yeah.
It just seems like we sort of need to have a discussion on, are we thinking something like that, or are we not? Because if we're not, and maybe something needs to be done to Smith Hall either way. Smith Hall has been awful since I was 10 years old. And I'm older than 10 years old now. My birthday was Sunday, and trust me, I'm older than that. And it's been bad, and things have been done. I'm not running down Smith Hall. But it's not,
It's never had the class.
and especially by today's standards.
Go by.
Point being, are we going to put money into something like that? If there's something longer term in our projections, or if there's not, then yes, then I think we definitely should. But that's a discussion.
And I am sensitive to the fact that down in the southern quarter where most of the people live in those tight, nicely packed subdivisions, providing all that wonderful tax revenue for us, they never come up here to Smith Hall. And we have to be sensitive to not overly investing in the St. John's area because there's always seems to be some kind of a criticism, whether it's valid or it's a little bit, or it's out of proportion with all you guys are folks about St. John's as St. John's at. I think that was a little bit in the past. I don't think it's so now, but I think you get some of that carryover. Kind of like we were discussing about the farmer complained about, we pay the bulk of the taxes. No, you don't. You haven't paid the bulk of taxes for decades, but you get a little bit of that carryover sometime.
The other thing about that is that, just like Lena K. Simon said at that conference, the biggest increase in 4-H kids, obviously, is urban kids. It's not rural kids. There aren't many rural kids left out here. All their programs are now directed towards urban areas, so kids do end up out here. But
They're not learning to be farmers, though. They're not going to go and build.
No, it's expanded dramatically beyond that. You're exactly
Frankly,
right.
very
But
good.
the point being, though, they would still use the facility. And I'm not either. I don't know. I'd like to know what it would cost to get Smith Hall, so it would be nice.
What I find interesting is you go down to Livingston Township, most of their population is getting near and near to the Fulton County line, but then their brand new 9/11 building in Howell That's not exactly the mecca of population either, so I just, it's good to explore everything. It costs us very little to explore what is the right thing to do. Rather than flip at a coin and say, "Oh, let's do that," We're doing the right thing. And these are all good discussions, Dan.
That's right. Cheaper on paper.
Yeah, now remember, you guys remember this, back in the day, Dave and I got chewed by different constituents about stuff we talked about, that you're talking about 10 years later roughly. So, it's all part of being a public service.
I got one side left to be chewed on.
I'd like to have the opportunity to take it out to the community when I go to Cadgwith, when I go to, the different places, and just ask the people what their thoughts are. Now, keep in mind, I'll be going along the southern tier, because that's my district. But it'd be interesting for everyone, all of the commissioners, to ask the folks, what they think.
Good point.
If you like, we can put this, move on and maybe talk about this again next month. We could be here the rest of the night and bring in thoughts about, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
I do.
But if you get some feedback, we could, discuss it again, because we're gonna be somewhere in this budget, we're asking for the departments to bring these things in the first of the year, so we're trying to get this together, so.
But can I say, in the past, and it's been, Dave, in my experience, the two of you and Craig have said, these are things that need to be done. We're going to agree that's first. Now, what we're talking about, what I think you're telling us is, here's the things that need to be done in the next whatever time frame. But after that, we're open to some discussion. So I think we need to keep that in mind. There are some, I think Cam or somebody said it, that there are some projects that will always take first priority because we got to run the county.
Right.
Whether we have a new building or some lady gets an extra job, it's not running the county.
Right.
So I understand that. So this sort of is clear that there are certain projects which will automatically come first regardless of what we want. So, based on what the administration tells us we need to do.
Dave?
Just going back to the job analysis here, I do think that one's probably overdue. And I think I would like to get an idea of what that would cost us.
Yeah, we'll get that together, get that on the list. Some feedback on early prioritization, something that seems to be helpful, new ideas,
Right.
we can carry them, see where we shake up.
Would that study include like the administrator, the elected officials?
All non-union spots. I don't believe last time it covered management. Department heads. But we have a
Usually
classification
a different
schedule.
way of doing management, because a lot of them are elected officials, so.
Well, I was going to say, when was the last time we did that?
A couple years ago.
They did that.
We just gave a little bit of raises to
Comparisons.
a couple years ago. Elected officials, the elected management people. But I don't know, there's some value in that. I think he's right. We need to look at it probably. If we're going to be spending.
If you're going to be doing it, you might as well
Do it all.
do it all.
Yep, yeah, I agree. Guess with Mike now.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on, Clinton Post-Secondary Success Network Agreement. I guess we didn't actually formally approve the agreement at the last.
We didn't have it, right?
We didn't have it, we just approved the concept for it at the last full board meeting at the end of April, so we have the agreement now in place before us.
Got a question
Yeah.
on that. Under item I, I'm at $30,000 to do so, and then down in item 3 under the agreement,
3 years.
it says 3 years.
We have a clean version of that, that's been corrected, and Ann about that, right?
My math isn't that bad.
It's a 2-year, 15,000.
Okay.
2 years.
Yes, the agreement we had, Peggy did, I have it bogged down your file.
Okay, that's good.
Commissioner Hill brought that to our attention, we fixed that question.
Is there an ability to review this project? Are we going to be able to review the metrics on this after 2 years to see the impact of it?
It's good for 2 years.
Right.
We can get out at any time.
I'm just wondering, at the end of 2 years, are we going to be able to review the?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why Commissioner Pole's going to be at the table.
When I'm here.
He's here. He's on.
And they don't call a meeting on too short a notice.
I would recommend approval of the agreement for the Clinton Post-Secondary Success Network.
Support.
Motion by Washburn, support by Pohl to approve the agreement. Is there any other discussion on this item? Hear none, all in favor would say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Communication Services, Michigan Association of Counties discussion, Chairman Shellis.
This is, if you recall, several months ago, I had suggested that all commissioners go beyond reporting to their townships and or cities and visit school districts, social clubs, to update them on what we are doing. Within that context, the Post-Secondary Success Network is within that general scope. For us to have a more positive economic impact in the future, I think that, or if you be honest with you, it really tells the citizens what we're doing. And I've been around here 15 years, and I was in the city council before that. And at that time, I don't know what they did in Clinton County. I didn't know what they did in any county. And that still exists today. So if what Derek Millot will do for us is he'll give us some boilerplate to read. So if you go to your school district and or there's two of you that have the same school district, you both read it, however you want to do that. But I'm going to suggest that we have administration contact the social clubs and talk about Kiwanis, Lions, whatever there are, and find out if we can get on schedule. The typical question asked me, have you done this? The answer is yes. I've already been to the Lions Club. I've been to the school board of DeWitt and gave them an update. They had no idea that there were new factories coming to Watertown. They didn't know that. They didn't know about LEAP doing things within the borders of Clinton County, which would impact us. I'm not asking you to go to every social club, just the ones that are of major impact. It also lets them know that you as their commissioner are actually doing something. So come the next year, you got to run for office. They know that you are actually doing something. The county's just not up there administering the jail or the typical mindset of the citizen. This lets the public know what we're up to. They're not going to read the website. They're not going to go on Facebook, most of them. But if you go to the major organizations and those of fellow elected officials, it leaves a really good impression. This is a relational business. And that's important for the public to know what we do. I mean, look at our state rep. He's got something in the paper all the time. Whether people read it or not, it's another issue. Our state senator goes to every chicken dinner I can think of that's out there. That doesn't really happen at our level. We're at a regional level. Regional governments aren't the same as state. They aren't the same as a city or a township. We're kind of in between. It's like being the Court of Appeals. Nobody knows what you really do at the Court of Appeals, but you have some huge impact. So I know probably for some of you going into an environment where you got to speak for 5 minutes is very uncomfortable. I'm trying to lessen that discomfort. So they'll do it for free. I was told by a Derek director they'll do it for free. So I'll meet with him and Ryan and we'll work out the dialogue. For instance, if you go to the local school board and talk to the fact that we are now entering into an agreement for this, what is that called, this post-secondary, they'll be surprised that we're involved with the post-secondary network and say, oh, that's a good thing. The folks who make up the Lions Club of Kiwanis are business people. They're agribusiness, they're whatever it happens to be. They'll like to know that's the case. With Cam taking over for Dave at the Farm Bureau, I'm sure even though they're not in manufacturing, they'd like to know the fact that Clinton County is involved with new manufacturing opportunities or more commercial development, whatever the case may be. This is a once-a-year PR mission. It's in our best interest to do that. So we'll do it right away. And also just remember this, that Vice Chairman Pullman, so if we're going to go to Ingham County and take the flag, they may burn it in effigy. We're going to do the same thing in Eden County. We are developing relationships. We have no expectation they're suddenly going to love us. They simply know they can pick up the phone calls. Same way school people. Hey, I was thinking, Godfrey had some conversation like, what is this with this factory? They say, this is what's going on. Or some social clubs say, we had no idea you guys were doing that. That's how you got to do it. And you get a free breakfast typically out of the deal.
We'll take the high road, as Bob's trying to say. Unlike the city of East Lansing, which after annexing part of Bath Township, took a chainsaw to our sign saying, welcome to Bath Township. That was now on their territory. That is not how you build relationships with your neighbors.
There is,
That was a previous city
At least
manager.
be a quiet chainsaw.
we have, and I just, I don't want to overstate this, but we're light years ahead of our neighbors. We're in a position that, it's nice to be able to say that we won't have any long-term debt in another year. Many can. We'll continue to have payments, but that's, most people are surprised to find out that the city of Lansing is in debt of $600 million. They're bragging on the news that they got a surplus $1 million. They actually did the analysis, if they used the criteria of the financial team the mayor set up there, in 30 years, they'd only pay off $100 million. They still have a $500 million debt. So we're in a position that for a lot of people is enviable.
It's starting to get out there, Bob. Lansing City Journal, they had an article about East Lansing's finances, and they, God forbid, actually mentioned their OPEB liabilities. It was the first time I ever seen their OPEB liabilities mentioned in there.
Yeah, so that's what...
It wasn't their pension, which is bigger, but at least they mentioned one of them.
If you're not comfortable going, I'll go with you. I don't care where it is. But to see that, I'll go with you for moral support. Did that with Eileen. Eileen, as we all know, we loved Eileen. She's a great gal, has zero speaking skills. We were in front of the city of East Lansing City Council, and she mumbled around a little bit, and she gave him a flag, and I stood there and let her talk. It's her district, not mine. But at least she got the point across that we want to be partners. It has led to really good communications. And is working well with the mayor, but the mayor would have no reason to talk to us particularly. And her role is the head of her association, but now she has the added role of being the representative for the county to the East Lansing. There's positive vibes there. We're never going to be involved in the management issues. We certainly are going to be involved with them in being good neighbors. So that's what this is all about, is let people know what you're doing. Guys, you're doing really good stuff. A lot of chairs I talk to go, you don't have any debt another year? So that's kind of like, well, no. They can't believe it. It's beyond their imagination to understand how a county that's smaller than theirs will have no long-term pension debt. You can sit here going, that's my salary.
Because we knew how to read a balance sheet.
So that's what it's about. And I don't expect to do this overnight. And maybe some of you don't have any social clubs in your area. I don't know that. We'll figure that all out. But the purpose for Derek is to give you something to read from. So instead of kind of doing it off your cuff and feeling uncomfortable, we'll have something that's real. The economic increase, our loss of debt, not having any debt, our getting involved in the community, that's all good stuff. Will they remember this in 100 years? No. But it doesn't matter. You know what? Let me be a little bit preachy here. Somebody says, well, what do you think about the other counties? I really don't care about the other counties. I care about this county and what we do here. Yeah, we have some regional relationships, but they're not going to make the job opportunities for our people. We have to do that. The state of Michigan's the guy who's not going to do it. We have to do that. So this is all part of that general relationship building effort. So that's what it's about.
Okay, this is just discussion items. Anyone have other comments?
It's just an interesting, I did go to the school board about 6 weeks ago, and they were interested. They had a bunch of questions, as they went along.
How long their meetings go? Was it 3 hours like that? Was it less than?
I got on fairly early.
You get out of there.
I'm at the back end of it.
I've had township ones, I try and make all of them I can, but you just can't.
I've been to various ones, and usually the first question is, now what exactly does the county do?
This is
And you go through that, and people are really amazed and surprised and happy. And then when you start bringing up the good points of the debt and everything, because I've said this a million times, people, even 5 years ago, especially 10 years ago, did not comprehend long-term liabilities in relationship to municipalities. Now everyone knows about it. I probably will get this wrong, but just before I came in, I happened to have the news on, and whoever it was there in Chicago got reelected or something. And I think they said that in a couple of years, the state of Chicago's long-term liability will be 6 times their annual budget. Yeah, 6 times their annual budget.
As far as I know, the state of Illinois is worse.
And they're going to be talking to the state to see what they can do about it. Well, that's not going to work out real well, I don't believe. So
Well, at the end of the day, we can hold our head up high, and when our time in office is done, you can walk away and say, I did the best I could.
But the irony of that one in Chicago is the guy that was running against him wanted to figure out how to spend his way out of these problems. Yeah, at least this guy recognizes there are problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good discussion. Summer property tax resolution.
Same millage.
Yeah,
I
no
do.
rollback, because
Wasn't it
of
8
the
years
winter
now?
collection, we're not certain what the equalization fractions are gonna do. Back in the day, we were directed to adopt a resolution just affirming what we expected to do.
It will generate $14,776,819.85.
Most of our budget. Lion's share, at least.
No, that's, just doing the quick calculation on that, and that's right where we anticipated.
Yes.
Starting our budget process. I would move for approval to levy the 5.8 mils for county operations.
Motion by Pohl, support by Hill to recommend adoption of the 2015 summer property tax levy resolution. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Planning update. Oh, that's right, we did it. I was considering on these PA 116 applications of pulling aside the ones for a David and Joyce Pohl, but we decided to do the whole thing
I
simultaneously.
saw that myself.
Yeah, I decided to do the whole thing simultaneously. So that was what the action item was for the board coming up. Obviously, we touched on the discussions on the Southeast Tower. That took up a good 90 minutes to 2 hours of the meeting. The other issue we dealt with doesn't come back before us. It was a site plan. It was for a sand and gravel, I think maybe mostly sand, I'm not sure, gravel excavation area. It's east of St. John's. It directly abuts the Clinton CIS rail trail. It was a operation that was discontinued about maybe a dozen to 15 years ago, so they're going to finish off the rest of the project. There's a mobile home park to the east and a few 10-acre plots to the south of it. It's Cyril's excavating.
Is this the one?
It's
Where is it? West of Ovid?
Yeah, it's from west of Ovid. It's east of St. John's off that trail, and it's east of Ovid.
No, west of Ovid. You said west of St. John's.
It's east of St. John's. I meant east of St.
There you
John's. I
go.
apologize.
West of Ovid, yeah.
Yeah, it's east. It was abandoned a while ago. They're going to finish it off. The depth of the excavation is not significant. It's about like 12 to 20 feet, so it's a pretty shallow excavation. There's already a built-up berm with fully developed trees on the east side abutting the larger mobile home park. So none of the residents came and discussed it, so we simply approved their excavation to reactivate that site. So that is our planning update. June meeting calendar. Let's take a look.
As noted earlier, I would like to ask that we add a building committee meeting on Wednesday the 3rd at 2:30, 3 o'clock.
Wednesday the 3rd.
No, I'm sorry. I'm
No, I think you're in May.
I'm sorry, next month.
Wait.
Next week. Yay.
Next week, May.
On the Wednesday the 27th.
Yes.
I'm free all that day. If you want to do that in the morning as well, that can be.
I'd rather do it in the
The afternoon is fine by me.
We got probably Kepler Michigan Works.
We might have that in the afternoon.
Yeah. So, and that's like 3:30.
Yeah.
How long you look into this, an hour?
Probably.
You could do it at 1 o'clock, probably.
Yeah, we can do that.
One's fine.
Yeah.
Give us
Will
an
you
hour and a half.
12:30?
Huh? Yeah, fine.
12:30 is fine for me.
Yeah, but 2 o'clock they open, that's what I'm saying.
Oh.
That's like just my an hour and a half, an hour like pushing it, so.
Yep.
Okay.
12:30 on the 27th?
Well, you can do it noon if you
27th,
want.
12:30. Don't push it. Okay. Shoot. I just realized I might have some issues.
You got a day off?
I forgot. Originally, I thought you said it was going to be Thursday. Thursday, there's no session, but Wednesday, one session till 11:30, so 12:30 works for me.
I think I'm going to Oregon to see my daughter again. It's the 27th and 20th. I think it's the 20th. Not right.
Well, the other thing is, I suppose if we had to, we could do it
Yeah, that'd work even better.
Does that work for you?
Is it
I'm really trying to be typical, I'm trying to be midweek, give them some time,
Okay.
clean up some of these issues related to the tower, the holiday weekend's coming, I'm not too sure, we'll have our ducks in order as well. We might.
27, 12:30 unless we hear different.
You're different, okay.
That works.
If not, I'll be on the airplane, and I'll be thinking of it.
Yeah, June meeting calendar, just to inform you, I'm on vacation from Tuesday the 23rd through Wednesday, July 1st, so I will not be available for either the finance meeting on the 25th or the board meeting on the 30th.
Where are you going?
Orlando.
Very nice.
Yes.
All right.
Darn kids.
Gotta do things first.
Oops.
They'll take care of you, they're making a decision when you get older.
Yeah, I heard, they decide the last place you ever live. Oh, wait,
Bruce is going on June 30th or something, aren't you?
is there anyone, is everybody else free on those dates in June, or we're gonna?
What are the days?
I'm not.
Okay. So we're down 2 on the 30th. Is everybody else gonna be there?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll have 5 on the 30th, and we'll have 6 on the 25th.
Cam can do the meetings, I have a finance. Weird. So we always done in the past.
No, there's no reason to move it, because I'm not gonna be here on the 30th, and you couldn't even move it the week back, because I'm gonna be in session until God knows when, on the 18th. Although we are in session the rest of the summer, so we'll see about that.
I'd move the June calendar.
Support.
All right, motion by Washburn, support by Mitchell for the June meeting calendar. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Accounts payable, where are the accounts payable? Should be signed.
I move for approval.
Support.
Motion by Pohl, support by DeLong to pay the bills. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
I did note in the packet on the computer, we've got one in the child care thing there that's pinging us pretty good every month.
I do that once in a while.
Yeah, we got 3 months running now. And,
Hard to plan on that.
I don't know.
Bad apple. Commissioner comments. Mr. Chairman.
On June 4th, Judge Devonin, Judge Mauricio, and Judge Rick's husband, Matthew, and I will be playing in the sheriff's golf outing. Judge Sullivan couldn't make it. Judge Rick doesn't play golf. We're going to try to foster a little closer relationships with our judicial. And I'm told that Matthew, Rick is a good golfer, so they have a chance of at least breaking 100. And at that outing, the sheriff's going to announce his retirement, but he's not going to run for office again, and that he's going to be supporting Larry Giroux to be his replacement.
Will you be filling out his entire term?
He'll be filling out his entire term. And it's apparently next time, it's early 16 or mid-16, he'll be, it'll start in a big way. Chief Giroux, I keep calling him Chief. Under Sheriff Giroux has met with Mr. Cressman, who had run the last time. And they had a nice dialogue about what they decided. But they're right there. So people understand that Larry Giroux is going to be the person to, with the most support. So, also had lunch with Chair Shannon Schlegel yesterday. And I went over the documents with her about our long-term goal of increasing our revenue, and went over the populations areas, the SEVs for different tax classes, so she would understand what we want to do. And I explained to her, well, I understand that you directly and your planning commission aren't going to impact this particularly, but you can indirectly, and we need you to understand what we're doing. I also asked her to meet with her counterparts in other charters in the cities, and she agreed to do that. I told her we'd pay her for that. So she'll have lunch with her, the city, DeWitt, St. John's, DeWitt Township, Bath, and Watertown at her leisure. There was no hurry to do it. at some point, but the key for us is relationship building. I had no, I said we don't have any expectations you're somehow going to magically change anything, but at least those people know they can call you and you'll have some intercommunication. We'll be meeting with Mr. Nelson on Wednesday and give him the same hour presentation to explain to him that our desire for water recreation in the southern tier isn't based upon some desire for us to spend money for nothing, but we need good recreation opportunities for people there so they'll move here. As we all know, the residential class is paying our bill, and we need to, we're competing with the other two counties. And so it's not as, while we're glad to have it, it's a good thing to have. They need to understand the logic is not simply because we just want to have the water park. There's logic behind it. So, and Chuck's a good guy. He's been around here. Dave and I have known Chuck for what, since before I got here, forever. And he'll be a good guy. So those are the only two chairs of commissions that I'm talking with, because those are the two that directly involve themselves, if you will, or can be involved in our overall plans to increase our revenue. Cam, I attend the MAC Economic Development Committee. Dave is on the Transportation Committee. He has the most interesting one at the moment. But at any rate, we're going to take up the cause of PDAs and other tax abatements that locals currently can inflict upon us. I use that word not as a joke. That we'd like to see all those things changed. And there are some representatives who used to be county commissioners who are going to pick up the cost for us. I don't know what's going to happen. But if, in the long run, if we were able to renegotiate existing EDA programs that meet our benefit, and if we could in the future say, no, we're not going to participate, that we'd save our tax base. We're going to have Bill Anderson from SEMCOG, I'm sure Dave knows him, is involved with, or maybe out of the Super Tri-County, to come to, hopefully come to our committee meeting and discuss, and give us his presentation he's given before. I don't think most county commissioners understand that tax abatements don't bring us any money in the future. We're also going to start discussing at that committee, can we in any way modify Proposal A of 1994 that cripples us when it comes to increasing our taxable values. We're one of the few states that can't tax remodeling or building renovations. We're not exempted. A lot of states are. What does that mean? It means anytime somebody in a downtown, for instance, you can give tax breaks to remodel the downtown, you cannot ask for our property tax for that. That's not, in fact, it penalizes you if you do that. So that's just one thought. We'll see what happens.
You mean the assessment wouldn't increase as a person improves their property? Wouldn't that be an increase in the assessment?
It is not. You are penalized from a county level in terms of the formula once that property is remodeled. The only time we get growth is on new construction. That is exempted from the Headley and or Proposal A formulas. So if you have hypothetically St. John's has their DDA and they'd say they did the whole downtown and you give your tax money, you get zero out of that.
Right, and DDA. If it was like my residence and I improved that, I get a higher assessment and my property tax goes up.
Yes and no, because it's the overall county increase. In other words, if you read through Barb Moss's formulas, that's all in there. So it isn't automatically because you have to pay more taxes we don't necessarily get more because you pay more. It's not quite work that cleanly, if that's the right word. So we're going to be looking at that in terms of ways of being able to increase revenue for all counties without being penalized because of some of it is the Headley, short of another constitutional convention, we can't do anything with that. A proposal like maybe we can, so we'll see. It's still very, very nebulous, but at least we're going to look at it. I don't know if you want to add anything to that?
Okay. That's it.
Okay, and the Regional Council of Governments is going to meet again. We're going to meet with this guy from Mark, your guy, down in Grand Rapids.
Oh, Don, something like that.
Yeah, we're going to meet with him as the Michigan
Association of
Regions to see if there's some things he might lend to us regarding the way we might formulate a regional council of government without actually becoming a SEMCOG. It's not our goal. At this point, Eric Scorsone, who most of you know know Larry Scorso. He's actually become a part of our group now. He happens to be my constituent as well, which is a, and Dave Hollister and all guys. They've been coming to our, I say meetings, it sounds like we meet all the time, nah, it's like every 3 months, not constantly, but the composite of the people involved is changing, which is a good thing, so. At any rate, that's all I have.
Bruce?
Yeah, I had something I didn't write down.
So Dave.
I'll get back to Bruce. Dave?
Just briefly, apparently Bengal Township is proceeding forward to do their own planning commission.
How many townships does that come to?
Two at this
Two.
point. And Essex is still kind of on the fence with it. And actually, the supervisor called me while I was out west someplace and talked on the phone a bit, and I ended up referring Sue Big to attend the township meeting to try and put on the table what this really impacts if you choose to go with planning your own. And I kind of gathered from her comments and others, it just fell on deaf ears, so.
Did you send an email? I got their email that she sent your
Sue did?
Yeah, I got it, so it was very informative. You're right, it's very
It
informative.
fell on deaf ears. And, there's some other things probably going to transpire in that township along the way here. None of it that I see good. I guess that's their township, their choice. And they would pay that tab. So I guess with that.
Ann?
The only thing that I've got is I've gone through the various organizations, committees, et cetera, and as I do my report out of what occurs at the county, and I did the sheriff's report this last time, regardless of what entity I go to, I am absolutely stunned at how many seniors give me firsthand response of how they or one of their relatives, friends, someone they directly know, has been affected by the scams, by the fraud, and I knew that there was an issue. It's just surprising to me how big it is when you actually go talk to people. And one of the comments that was brought out by one of the seniors was, we've always been brought up that you trust somebody until they prove that they can't. Well, in today's society, unfortunately, that's not a good thing. So just a comment that I've been surprised at the firsthand experiences that I hear about.
The doctor that is in charge of the health department is retiring, so there's a search on to go ahead and find a replacement. So I sat in on interviews the other day. They sent out the applications, and so they got 2 people to go ahead and apply. Interviewed both candidates. In my opinion, there was one that stood out above the other one, and so then the committee that's in charge of that is, everybody agreed, but that committee is in discussion with that individual to see if they can work out an acceptable agreement.
That was Dr. Graham's retirement, is that right?
Been there a long time, hasn't it?
What a while.
How long is that?
I'd asked the commissioner to find out how the salaries divvied up. You mentioned something about 19 counties share with his
Ends
services.
up, there's 19 counties that do share that doctor. Consortium that goes together.
Usually don't have shock value, but probably do today, at least for some of you. Bob Sheehan took a new job down at Community Mental Health.
Really?
And
What do you take?
he will be the director of their association, of the Michigan Community Mental Health Association. The director of that, he will be leaving the 1st of October, and we are beginning the search this Thursday night before our board meeting. I've convened an executive committee meeting to basically just talk about process and timeline and costs associated. And so we'll start to search on that. and
It happened on your watch day.
it had to. I told Bob this. When we got the new budget this last year, he started talking about this new addition going on, about a 30% increase on addition. And this is the truth. I went home and told my wife, I said, well, I don't have to worry about Sheehan leaving because they never leave during building projects. Well, I'm proving wrong in that. When I told her he's leaving, she says, what happened to that building project? But anyways, he's going to be moving on, which is really shocking. One of the small problems we have is that he has voluntarily always kept his salary very low relative to what you would figure with $110, $15 million budget. And so one of the first things we've got to do is visit the salary in the package to see if what we can do with that to get it in relationship to what people today are going to expect if they even apply for the job. So we're going to start with that and go through the whole process. He would like someone in place as soon as possible so that they can shadow him for maybe a month or two before he leaves. And we'll go forward. Don't know if it's someone internal or external or whatever. It's actually a pretty small society, really, to be looking at, I think. So I don't think it'll be real difficult. And word spreads like wildfire as soon as he mentioned it. I'm sure everyone across the whole state that's in that business knew it.
That man is in a very unique intersection of passion and extraordinary competence.
Yes.
Bob, do we have any hope of finding someone with equal ability?
No.
That's why I asked him.
No, it's just unbelievable. And I did do my due diligence, and when he called me, and I said, Bob, what does it take to keep you? And it wasn't that at all. He just said, he's at that age that he's either got to sort of do something or life it, one or the other. And he decided he wanted a little variety, which you can't wish him the best. But it was not the money. He arbitrarily keeps his salary very, very low compared to what. It shocked me. I didn't know exactly what it was. I'd heard it was low, but it's like, you got to be kidding me. You're doing this for this one.
How much was that?
A little more than you make, but not much.
No,
It was
very
shocking.
low.
It was very low. And so.
For $100 and some odd $1 million budget.
So we'll be going forward, and I'll let you know as we go forward.
Just a comment along that same line. We are interviewing Thursday for a replacement for Paul Hamilton at Tri-County.
This guy appointed to.
What's under a ponytail?
No. 2 hours in, this is the game we forget we're in.
Sorry.
No, I just, he just, needed to move on. Yes, but we are interviewing, got 3 pretty good candidates. They are aware of our salary schedule. They were made clearly aware of it. One of them would be taking quite a drop, but if in fact he chooses or we choose, see where it goes. Now, along that same line, I was on there when Sue Pig came on. I brought, we came on, she about a week or a month after I came on as chair last time. And this time we get to do the transportation plan. It's an enjoyable experience in a lot of ways, though, going that route. Sure. I mean, you really are. It becomes a learning curve for everybody. And
Bruce, did you recall your thought? Okay. The good news that came out of the revenue estimate conference on Friday is there's significant additional revenues in the budget carryover from the current budget and projections for the new budget. That we're probably going to be able to dedicate, $300–400 million into roads, which would be more GF than we were putting in the current fiscal year, and would be about the exact same that would have gone in if proposal one had passed, because it was going to be a very slow ramping up process. We would maintain the pace. Of course, I remember the good old days when $300–400 million used to solve the problem. It wasn't the first step in the solution. So that's all the comment I have. We're adjourned Ryan Wood is excused, and we'll take a short break before Personnel Committee. I have pretzels and Archway knockoffs off back there for your staff.
This is no reflection on your leadership.
Knockoffs, I said.